Welcome to the McKinney-Vento Training. My name is Samantha Little, and I am a school counselor for Options for Youth San Juan at the Orangeville site. And I also serve as the region's homeless liaison. Today, we will be talking about what McKinney-Vento is, how it protects our homeless youth, and how you can support our homeless youth throughout their time at OFY. Let's start with our mission at Options. We want to be the best independent study school that helps empower underserved youth and move them towards graduation. This is the why that drives all of our programs, initiatives, and goals within our school. It's important to remember that why when working with homeless youth. So what is McKinney-Vento? This is a federal law that protects homeless youth by removing barriers that may exist around enrollment, attendance, and success in school. It is part of the Every Student Succeed Act, or ESSA. California has laws that have strengthened this protection, and we will discuss the differences shortly. So how is a student determined to be homeless? McKinney-Vento defines homelessness as lacking fixed, regular, or adequate housing. This could be shelters, motels, parks, couch surfing, or being doubled up due to economic hardship. This list provides several living situations that could define homelessness. Doubled up is a case we often see. Several families living together or too many people living in a space that does not have adequate spacing, such as 9 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Not all doubled up situations qualify under McKinney-Vento, as it needs to still meet the definition of fixed, regular, or adequate. Couch surfing is the one we commonly see. These are students that are not living at home but do not have a long-term place to stay that is regular. It's important to determine if a student or family has any legal rights to the place they are staying. If they do not, it may fall under the definition. However, it is important to talk with your site counselor to get more clarification. Unaccompanied youth may also be considered homeless if they lack fixed, regular, or adequate housing. Again, couch surfing is the most common situation we see when working with students under 18. Homeless unaccompanied youth have the right to immediate enrollment and do not need an adult over 18 to enroll them. Please work with your counselor and your site AP for enrollment of an unaccompanied youth. Homeless youth have the right to immediate enrollment even if they do not have records. Immunizations are often hard for homeless youth to obtain, and they have extended time to provide the school with shot records. Homeless youth have 30 days to provide shot records to the school before any action can be taken on their enrollment. If you handle enrollment at your site or for the region, please work with your counselor and AP to help get these students the proper documentation. A version of these posters are outside of each site in English and in Spanish. These posters include my information as the charter liaison and the California State Homeless Liaison, Leanne Wheeler. These posters state to the community that students experiencing homelessness have the right to enrollment in school. Homelessness impacts students in many different ways, and we can see that homeless youth have high absentee rates and are likely to drop out of school without receiving a high school diploma. Since these students move around a lot, they may change schools several times during high school, sometimes several times in one semester. This can lead to partial credits or no credits at all, and this can be devastating on their ability to graduate in a timely manner. We see these impacts reflected in our own data over the last 3 years. On average, we have about 100 homeless youth enrolled in a school year. While the graduation and dropout rates are staying steady, we are seeing dropout rates continue to climb. A study across America in 2017 found a startling statistic. Youth are 346% more likely to experience homelessness if they do not have a high school diploma or a GED, which means those 30 to 35 students we are seeing as dropouts each year have an extremely high chance of becoming homeless in the long term. So how do you know if a student is homeless? A student's transcript can tell you a lot past just the classes they've taken in their grades. Often a lack of education continuity or several transfers can be a red flag. Students who are consistently losing work or do not know what their address is may also be experiencing housing instability. If you call all the numbers and they are out of service, or if the mail is being returned. While this doesn't automatically mean a student is homeless, it can be a place to start the conversation about what their current living situation looks like. So the big question is, what is the difference between McKinney-Vento and AB 1806? AB 1806 is a California law that reduces a student's credit requirement to 130 for a high school diploma if the student meets certain criteria. If a student is protected under McKinney-Vento, they would meet the definition of homeless, but that is only one of the 3 criteria a student must meet in order to qualify for a credit reduction. The school counselors are the only one who can determine eligibility for AB 1806. Just because a student is protected and meets the definition of homeless for McKinney-Vento does not mean that they qualify or are eligible for AB 1806. This California law aims to strengthen McKinney-Vento by helping students in high school who have been displaced from their school or schools due to housing insecurities. The intent of the law is to help students graduate with their class, so AB 1806 is not applicable to middle school students, nor is it applicable to students in their 9th or 10th grade year. If you have a student who is protected under McKinney-Vento, please talk with your school counselor to determine if the student meets the other criteria related to school transfers and credit deficiencies. How does this all apply to your job, you might be asking yourself? Let's get into some best practices broken down by role. As a center coordinator or an AT2, you are responsible for enrollment and records. When working with homeless youth, it's important to help them get enrollment immediately. Help track down records related to enrollment history and immunization records. You are also the first person a student or family may talk to, so you can start the relationship by giving them resources if they are upfront about housing insecurities or anything else that may be a barrier. Teachers are the main line of communication once a student enrolls. Double-checking transcripts and completed courses will help a student start off on the right track, making sure they have access to technology and loaning out hotspots and Chromebooks when necessary. When it comes to teachers and tutor appointments, being flexible with homeless youth will help build rapport so they don't feel ashamed or guilty when needing to cancel or not having something done. Making sure to take the time with them so you understand their barriers and work with them to break them down to the best of your ability. Collaboration is key. School counselors play a role in identification and making sure we have accurate enrollment history and credit counts. They are also responsible for determining eligibility for AB 1806 and McKinney-Vento. As post-secondary counselors, they can provide students with higher education opportunities and a warm handoff to the college of the student's choice. I, as the homeless liaison, am responsible for training the charter staff and collaborating with our community. I regularly attend collaborative meetings at SCOE to make sure we have all the information we need about resources and programs in our community. It's also important for administrators to be knowledgeable about McKinney-Vento, especially when you have a homeless student who is going through the EOD or drop process. Understanding a student's housing situation plays a large role in evaluating them for dismissal. Regardless of your title at OFY, you can always help students with resources in their community that can help them with housing or food insecurity. Collaboration across roles is so important so that a student feels like they have wraparound services and they know that school is a safe place for them. When we talk about interventions for homeless youth, we are not just talking about academic interventions. We're also talking about making sure their basic needs are met. Talk with your student to find out what they are lacking at the moment and connect them to the resource that can help. Internally, we have access to food, clothing, technology, and caring adults. Once all their basic needs are met to the best of your ability, then you can start to address their academic needs and begin to support them with academic interventions. Along with this video presentation, you received an in-depth list of resources in the Sacramento area that can help youth and family with housing, food, mental health, medical and dental needs, and more. Please keep that list handy for when you need it. These are just a few top resources I use when working with homeless youth. Now that I have given you a ton of information about McKinney-Vento and how you can support students and families who are experiencing homelessness, I wanted to just go over some big takeaways. Remember that the definition of homelessness is lacking fixed, regular, or adequate housing. Use common sense and ask yourself, does this sound fixed, regular, or adequate when a student is describing their current housing situation? Options for Youth is built on the idea of removing barriers for students to participate in sports, trips, groups, and more, so make sure you're promoting these opportunities to all your students. Never talk with a student about possible credit reduction. Review the student's situation with your counselor, and they will determine if a student is eligible or not. Counselors are the only one who can make that determination. Remember that you are not alone and that all staff members can play a role in helping homeless youth. Talking about homelessness can be a pretty heavy topic, so I wanted to end this presentation on a high note. These are just a few stories from our past students who experienced homelessness or displacement during high school. Homelessness is not a life sentence, and education can be a way to end the cycle. These students all left Options for Youth with a hard-earned diploma in hand. One even went to Sonoma State right after high school. As we become more educated on how to help our homeless youth earn their high school diplomas, I know we will see even more success stories each year. Here is all the contact information for the counseling team. We are always available and happy to answer any questions you may have. As the Charter's Homeless Liaison, I am happy to dive deeper into this information if you are ever interested, so feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for participating in this training, and don't forget you have a short quiz and feedback form that will act as your attendance for this state-mandated training. All links were included in the training email. Have a great day.